Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Songwriter Studios and brought to you by official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Muslims Are Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We're here with a terrific gentleman who's a singer-songwriter born in Alexandria, Virginia, later moving to Tazewell, and later on to North Carolina, now in Kodak, Tennessee. And where is that? We'll find out in a few minutes. Here he's had 4 #1 songs back in '03 and began writing in 1990. And of course, he also had a tremendous moment in his life where his son passed in '07 and getting his career back on track. And he's had some music like Sad Love Story Songs, the album, also with Best Kept Secret, From This Day On, Let's Pretend. He's also got the title track to it as well, and Amazing Grace. And he's got a new song called Ring from a Quarter Machine. And what's that about? I guess we'll find out. Live, ladies and gentlemen, Plus Studios in beautiful downtown Kodak, Tennessee, the multi-talented singer-songwriter going from Virginia over to North Carolina to Tennessee, the multi-talented Lee Browning. Lee, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Good evening. Thanks for having me on, Mike.
Well, it's great to have you on board, Lee. So you're a singer-songwriter born in Alexandria, Virginia, later moved to Tazewell, and now you went to North Carolina, and now you're in Kodak, Tennessee. You've had 4 #1 songs back in '03, a big year, and you began writing in 1990. You also had an event happening in life where your son passed in '07, and you're getting your career back on track. You've had an album called Sad Love Story Songs featuring a title track, Amazing Grace, Best Kept Secret, From This Day On, Let's Pretend. And you've got a brand new release called Ring from a Quarter Machine. And what's that about? We'll find out just 1 minute. And before getting to all that, Lee, tell us how you first got started.
What's that now?
Tell us how you first got started.
Oh, it just goes. I mean, it's probably the same old thing as most artists. It goes all the way back to childhood. My dad playing country music, and I grew up with nothing but country music. I mean, if I wanted to listen to music, I pretty much had to listen to country music. But I really liked it, and I liked the. I tell you, one of my favorite artists that influenced me was Marty Robbins, because he just told a big story in his music. A lot of these people that are watching me right now live and on my phone, a lot of them don't even know about Marty Robbins, some of them guys back then. But I mean, he was just a phenomenal singer. So I listen to all his music because he told a great story in a song. So, and I always wanted to do that. I used to go out and in the backyard in the fall and get up on the stump, tree that's been cut down, and I'd act like I was on stage singing. And then I'd jump off into the leaves and run around it to make the leaves crackle and sound like there was a big audience out there. So, then it just one thing led to another. As I got older and moved away, I started, writing some songs. I wrote some pretty extremely cheesy stuff back in the day. I mean, but I thought it was cool and it was good, but then I got a little more serious about it in 1990 and 91. So, and that's how we got going. I had a couple songs that some people in Nashville thought were really good, and then I got out there and started recording, and then we started putting them out.
And you talked about in 1990 began writing back then. What was that one precise moment that influenced you the rest of your career? And what was that one moment that simply, got you writing in 1990? What was that one precise moment for you?
You know, uh, my son used to come over. I stayed in this little tiny trailer, and I used to run a woodworking shop. And so I'm standing here in front of this sander, and I'm taking these spindles and stuff, putting them in the sander. I mean, that's all I had to do, just all day long. So, and my son had talked about, wished that me and his mom were back together and stuff like that when he would come over, that kind of thing. So, I literally it wasn't shortly after that, I wrote Let's Pretend right there at that sander in about 10 minutes.
Wow.
I don't know. It just clicked like turning the light on, and so later on I did not too long after that, I did a recording of that. It's the recording that you probably heard of it, or anybody else that's heard it. It isn't the original recording. It got better, as we went on. But the original recording still turned out pretty good. But I wasn't really that good in there on the microphone. I mean, some of us have to work for it, and some of us are just naturally gifted and go in there and knock a home run out. I had to work pretty hard to even get a good vocal out of it, and work on my vocal and sing all the time. And but that was the defining moment for me. It just happened like just like that. And so from that point on, we started. I started saving money to go to Nashville and record with James Williams, who's one of my promoters as well. And so, but he also records, and his son is the engineer out there in Nashville. So started recording, and that was it really in 1990. That's when that light bulb just went off.
Hmm. And all because of woodworking. That was interesting. I love it.
Yeah, I was to be honest with you, I loved the woodwork, but it was actually pretty boring standing there doing that all day. I mean, because it's like being in a factory, just saying it's all day long. The only thing that was different about it is I had to change the sandpaper out and stuff like that at times. But so I wrote quite a few songs in that woodworking shop actually.
And that was Let's Pretend. And what are some of the other songs that you had in your mind, while you're woodworking?
What's that? Excuse me.
What were some of the other songs that you wrote while you're woodworking? Like, the songs were coming to you while you're
Amazing
woodworking,
Grace.
in, out, everything like that.
Amazing Grace. There's a couple of them. I don't want this night to end. Also, I'm trying to think of it. There's another one that I haven't recorded yet. How It Could Have Been. I haven't even recorded those yet. I mean, I've got hundreds of partially written songs or hook lines, and then songs themselves that I just haven't got. It takes a lot of money to record as an independent artist. Anybody that hears this or listens knows that we have to do this on our own to send music out there for the fans and the public to listen to. So it's not that easy, until you get maybe somebody good out there in Nashville hears you or wherever that's in a label and you get signed on a label, then you probably going to go further than you generally would. But for independent artists, it's a little bit more difficult for us to keep on recording because it takes money to record. It's just not free for you to go do
Hmm.
this.
We completely understand. And of course, many of us been there, done that. I talked to people about it. It's a rather interesting business, challenging at times. And, besides Marty Robbins and some of the others, who are your other favorite singers, songwriters, and musicians growing up?
Well, back then it would be Johnny Cash, of course. I mean, I love Johnny Cash and even Elvis Presley. I don't know anybody that really don't like Elvis Presley, and Johnny Cash, honestly. Charlie Pride, and then you get into the 70s, you got love Ronnie Millsap. Ronnie Millsap, a lot of folks kind of forget Ronnie Millsap had like 41 number one songs.
I
So
remember, yes.
yeah, he had some great music, and today to me it's still great. So all those guys, and then you get into the 80s, obviously you have George Strait and Alan Jackson is probably my favorite new generation artist. If you want to call it new generation, that probably not the term that I'm looking for, but as far as when I was older and on my own, it would be probably Alan Jackson for me.
How about today's country artists?
Well, I mean, I don't know a lot of them as good as I did, George Strait and Alan Jackson, but I mean,
Or like Chris
Jason
Stapleton,
Aldean.
Luke Bryan, and I think there was also let's see, I'm trying to think a couple others. It's like those are some of the two, and I think you had let's see, those are some of the other two as well.
Yeah, Jason Aldean.
That's another one.
Yeah, I like him. I mean, I still am a big fan of Brad Paisley. Brad Paisley. There's a whole bunch of them out there. Morgan Wallen. I mean, he's just like on the top of everything. Luke Combs. I mean, that guy come out of the gate and had like 7 straight number one songs. I mean, I like to listen to these guys once in a while and kind of see what's going on and what's happening, um, and see where the trend is going. So,
Mhm. How do you,
so it's a
how,
little more poppy now than what
mhm.
I'm
how,
used to.
how do you compare the artists of today to the artists back then?
Well, not taking anything away from any artist today, so I want to say that first. But if you take the technology we have today and you take someone who literally can't sing very well, not saying that none of these guys, I'm sure they all can sing. They probably sing better than I do. But you put them in a studio and you can do so much in there with all this equipment now. You take and you put these people with Marty Robbins, Johnny Cash, George Jones, all those guys when they were recording, Tammy Wynette, Loretta Lynn, they didn't have auto tune back then. There
Mhm.
wasn't nothing but reverb, stuff like that to kind of smooth things out. And then you just literally had to get it right. So I feel, if you want to go, it's kind of like boxing or a sport. Back then might have been a tougher area, or era of sports. Then it's kind of got a little different today. I kind of feel that's the same type of situation with music and country and literally any genre, but country especially because country was pretty dominant, and it still is probably the number one genre of music. Um, so I don't know. I have to give it to those guys because they had to be on cue. Even Alan Jackson and George Strait, Garth Brooks, and all these guys, Brooks and Dunn. They had some stuff to work with a little more than they did, way on back when I was born in 1967, and 50s and 60s. You just had to be good back then, or
Mhm.
it just wasn't going to be a good recording.
And he also got some good music as well too, like "Ring from a Quarter Machine," where I went over sad love story songs and just about everything. We're with singer songwriter from Virginia, Lee Browning. We'll talk about his latest release in just 1 minute. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has got great reviews. And Eve 11 enjoys by how it celebrates, including Joanna Cassie, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for it goes Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com or 40 podcast platforms. Heard in 100 countries, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, also on Odyssey, Apple, iTunes, Google Play, along with BitChute, Rumble, and YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and more, and take us with you on any mobile device. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast, T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies. Makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles. Also t-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, phone cases, and some more. Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. Check it out today and support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. We're here the amazing singer-songwriter from born in Alexandria, Virginia, moving to North Carolina, now in Kodak, Tennessee. Lee Browning here on the Mike Wagner Show. And before we talk about the latest release, Ring from a Quarter Machine, we'll play at the end of the audio interview. Tell us about your journey going from Alexandria to Tazewell to North Carolina to Kodak, Tennessee.
Excuse me, I went.
No. Tell us about your journey going from Virginia to North Carolina to Tennessee.
Well, I mean, obviously, as far as being born in Alexandria, that's where I was born. So I don't really remember the trip because I was too little to Tazewell. So I wound up in Tazewell with my aunt and uncle, actually. So, that's where I still called them my mom and dad because that's who raised me. And so that's where I got the country music in my blood. And when I graduated, got done with that, I was ready to take off. So I was doing construction, painting, just anything that I could do, to make money at that time. And that's when I had met my son's mom, and so I just took off with her and her uncle, and wound up, long story short, in Wilmington, North Carolina, where one of my daughters is located right now. Well, they all were there, but one's still there. One's out here, where I live. And I have one daughter in New Bern and one up in Virginia Beach. So I have 4 girls. And So, went to North Carolina, and that's where I've been most of my life actually is North Carolina. I've been out here in Kodak for about I don't know, about 3 years now. So, but I like it. But I've been in Nashville a lot. So, I mean, I almost moved to Hendersonville, which is a real nice area outside. I mean, there's a lot of folks that live out there, but that a little bit too expensive for me to live out there. So I come, out here where it's kind of desolate where we are here, not near as clogged up as Nashville and
Mhm.
some of those areas. So I kind of like it here.
And getting some work done as well too, and saving money at the same time, which is really good as well too. And of course, you also had the 4 number one songs in '03, and just gives a recap on it as well too.
Well, that was, I don't think it was, I'm not sure it was four. I think it was two that we released that was number one in '03, and that was Sad Love Story Songs and From This Day On. From This Day On is a wedding song that I wound up going to Canada. It's just like them, the people up in Canada just love that song. It was number one up in Canada, and I wound up getting a lot of calls to go sing that probably 40, 50 weddings, honestly. So
Wow.
I was just like going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to Canada, and it was just like was crazy good up there. It's kind of it almost kind of made you want to move up there because could have probably went on tour and got stuff going up there a little better than I have here so far, but and things were on a roll. And I was still into doing all that, but that's when, devastation, you know, came in and just kind of took over my life for
hmm
quite some time.
Right. Yeah. And of course, before we talk about that, whereabouts in Canada did you end up going to? You talking about by 40,
Most
50
of it was
times?
in Toronto and those areas. I mean, Toronto was the biggest town that, that I went to in Canada. I'm trying to remember. There was a lot of other little small towns. I don't even remember a lot of them, but Toronto is the biggest one. I went to most of my events were in Toronto, Canada, and I enjoyed it. Canada's a beautiful country. What little bit of it I got to see was
Mm-hmm.
very, very pretty.
And you also talk about you had a detour in your life as well, too. That happened in '07 as well.
Yeah, it did. To August 16th, my son passed away unexpectedly. Same day as Elvis Presley there. They
Oh
both on
my
August 16th.
goodness, what a coincidence.
Yeah, yeah, it was kind of crazy. And so yeah, when he passed away, I mean, I did write a few more right after that because I took, the emotions that I had from that tragedy. I used it to write some songs that I've not actually recorded, good yet. And one of them is actually kind of especially for my son. And so that's what I'm looking to do now is kind of regain some steam and go record that song because that song not only is it for my son, but it would be for anybody that's lost somebody. So it could fit in anybody's life that's lost a loved one, and I don't know too many people that haven't lost somebody that they
Mhm.
really love, son, daughter, father. I mean, it
Or even
definitely
a
is a
dog or
beautiful song.
cat too. Some go to that point, a dog or a cat.
Absolutely. I mean, I even lost my dog, Roxy. I had her for 14 years.
Wow.
She was a service dog because I've been for a lot of years I was very prone to panic attacks, which is what they actually describe it in medical terms as a panic attack is a snowball of a heart attack. So it kind of fools you into thinking you're having a heart attack when really it's just an anxiety attack, and you got to find a way to breathe and relax. And it was a lot of difficult years for me with the panic attacks. And unfortunately for me, it still goes on to a certain extent. The anxiety is it's just sometimes I don't care how good your life is, you don't know where it comes from. You can have a panic attack just out of nowhere. I mean, I can be watching football, having the time of my life, and have a panic attack. I generally don't let anybody around me know, because I've learned how to kind
Mhm.
of keep it cool. But yeah, it's caused me to suffer a little bit, honestly. But we got to keep on rolling. So, I take medicine for it, and it helps me keep it under control pretty good.
Makes you think of the Tennessee Titans giving a panic attack as well too. It's like you never know what Ryan Tannehill was going to do or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ryan Tannehill, see, I'm not a Titans fan. I'm a Dolphins fan. Always have been since I was 5 years old. When I am a big, huge football fan, but I'm a Dolphins fan. So we used to have Ryan Tannehill. So, but there's a reason we got rid of him. I guess I don't know. I thought he did pretty well. I just don't think he had the cast around him to get where
So
the Dolphins where they need to go.
I mean, blame him always for those panic attacks. Blame him, and of course, speaking of the Dolphins as well, too. A bit about the subject. Who do you think? How you think the Dolphins going to do this year?
I think they did very well last year, and I think that personally, watching them play last year, if Tua, wouldn't have got hurt, if they would have kept him out when they should have, and instead of putting him back in too soon, and he could have been there through the playoffs, I think we would have had a good shot to go to the Super Bowl, honestly. So I think that they have an excellent shot to go to the Super Bowl this year.
Hmm.
Finally, it's been a long time coming, but
Hmm.
they've Mike McDaniels is a good coach. He's a smart young coach, and he's put a package together. And I think we're going to do pretty well this year. I think we will go to the playoffs. I'm hoping we can at least get to the AFC Championship.
At least New England won't be in the way. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, no, they won't. Sorry about that, Caden, if you're watching, buddy, but he's up there in Boston, so he's a New England fan, or
Hmm.
his parents are.
Right, and of course, being that division too with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets as well too, that could be another obstacle as well too. So I guess there's a question: is how's he going to do, or is he going to follow the course of Brett Favre, 1 season with the Jets and 2 seasons with whoever, especially Minnesota Vikings? That's kind of my projection. He'll be fine. Then all of a sudden he'll crap out. He'll probably end up going to Minnesota, for all I know.
Yeah, but, who knows what he's going to do? But it could turn out good for the first season. I think the Jets have a pretty strong team. They're not going to be no pushover. From what I've been looking and reading and watching all the news, I think they got a strong team. Of course, Buffalo, they've kept themselves intact. They're the number ones in the AFC East, where the Dolphins is. But we'll see. We're starting tomorrow night.
Hmm.
Starts tomorrow night, and then Sunday, game on for everybody.
Hmm. And of course, speaking of game on and everything, you've also been game on with a brand new song called Ring from a Quarter Machine. We'll talk about it in just 1 minute with Lee Browning. You listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by SonicWeb Studios, and brought to you by official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson's They're Missing. We'll be back with the multi-talented Lee Browning of Ring from a Quarter Machine after this time. We're back with the multi-talented Lee Browning of Ring from a Quarter Machine here on the Mike Wagner Show. And tell us more about that wonderful song and what inspired you to write it.
Well, that song is true. It's a true story. If the listeners that listen to this show will just listen to the words of it, it's a absolutely 100% true story about a friend of mine years ago. That he come up to me and said, "Hey, I'm really I'm really in love with this girl, and I want to marry her one day, and blah blah blah." And he's like, "But I just don't have the money to get her a nice diamond ring." And I said, "You know what? Money's really not what matters in this situation." I said, "Go up to I truly think it was Rose's at the time, or Kmart. They had nothing but these the little quarter machine like I have right here. Boom,
How do you
got my
like
own."
that? You still have those things.
Yeah, oh yeah. I got this. We got this off of Amazon, and when I go to sign autographs, I take that and let people get a ring out of the quarter machine. And
That's a good
which
idea. I like that one. I
yeah,
think you'll do that for
it's pretty
bubble
neat.
gum or something.
I was kind of looking for one, but anyway. So I told him, I said, if you go up there and get one of them rings, let me get one of these out of here real quick. Give it a little second here. Um, but I told him, go up there, get one. I said, you'll be surprised at how real some of those rings look like a diamond. And he did. And I mean, people get one here. Yeah.
I was going to say, do you need a
So,
quarter? I think I've got one.
no, if you can send it over here, we can
Sounds
get it through
good.
the
Here we go.
computer. it sparkles and shines. I mean,
Oh my gosh, that looks like
that's the
the real
gold one.
thing. But then
And we
again,
got
they
us.
call it, was it cubic zirconia or something like that?
Yeah, Cubic Zirconia is what a lot of people went to. He couldn't even afford that. So he went and got one of these and he took it to his girlfriend at the time and gave it to her. Apparently, he got down on one knee, from what he told me, and asked her. And, but he was embarrassed because this is all he really could take. He didn't have the box, he didn't have no ribbons or bows. All of what I just said is in his song, everything I said. And so he took it and gave it to her. And as far as I know, and I'm trying to locate him because I kind of got disconnected from him with everything in my life, everything going on in their life. But she accepted the ring, and she just told him that yes, of course she would marry him. And then later on, a couple of years had passed, and me and him were still in touch. And he went and finally got her a diamond ring, got a real ring, gold, and a nice little diamond. I don't even know how much it cost, but he gave it to her, and he come back to me, and he actually said, "Lee, I gave her a real diamond, and she got me." I said, "What do you mean she got you?" He said, "She said, well, you know what? I don't really want this ring because you can't beat this ring from a quarter machine." That was literally her words. So he said,
Can't beat the
so
ring
I
from the
don't know.
quarter
At
machine.
that
I like
second,
that.
well, at that second's when I said, you know what, this has got to be a song somewhere somehow. And she, because she actually told him, and this is the last part of the song. It ain't money, it ain't the cost. It's the thought that matters, and all this is in the song. And if the folks listen to it, they'll get this story right here. And it's a pretty cool little story, and that's the reason I was like, you know what, this would be a great song. And so I don't think I put that together immediately, but it wasn't long after that. But I wrote it down. You go to Nashville, everywhere in Nashville, people have napkins in restaurants. You see people writing something down all the time.
Hmm.
It's because it's a hook line. So that ring from Quarter Machine, and I just jotted down some of the stuff that he said, and I put it in this little case that I had with all my other stuff. So then that's when I went back to it, and a few years back, and I was like, I'm going to finish this up, and I did, and I'm actually really proud of this song. I think it turned out really good. The production turned out good, and I feel like I turned out a pretty good vocal on it as well. So that's where it came from. So hopefully everybody, if they ain't got any money, go get one of these.
There you go. In the meantime, where can we find a ring from a quarter machine and all your works at, Lee?
You can find it anywhere they're streaming. All the places that you were talking about, iTunes, Amazon Music. There's Griever, I think, Spotify, anywhere that music is streaming. I'm on there. I'm there. I
Hmm.
mean,
Have,
everywhere. YouTube, you can go watch it at YouTube. I have some. I don't have the big nice videos, but I have picture videos up there right now, so they can go anywhere and find me.
mhm.
Mhm.
If you expect a song from a quarter machine, you'd probably be disappointed. You're better off doing it online. So
Yeah.
you certainly got that right as well, too. We're here with the multi-talented singer-songwriter Lee Browning of Ring from a Quarter Machine here on the Mike Wagner Show. Lee, just a couple more things. What else can we expect in 2023 and beyond?
Excuse me. What am I
I said,
expecting?
what else can we expect from you in 2023 and beyond?
Well, I'm hoping to get back in the studio because I really got some. I think I have a few really great songs that I put together. And all these are a true story. There's one that's a true story out of down in Texas, Brown, Texas. I don't know if the folks might remember the show Extreme Home Makeover. Remember that show,
Yes, I
Mike?
remember that. That was a really good show.
Yeah, and that's this one song I have called "Only a Breath Away" came from, and it's I literally got a great feeling about that, and I would love to be able to go and put that together, and it's like put another whole album together. That's what we're looking to do. I released another song, "Best Kept Secret," that's out there right now. Because what's going on in today's country is these artists are releasing two or three songs at a time, and that's cluttering up the charts for independent artists like myself. So I just figured, you know what, I'm going to put 2 or 3 songs out there just so my name starts getting heard by as many people as possible. So, we got that out there, and I re-released Sad Love Story songs, and it's back out there again on radio now. So you probably should have it there. I mean, Caden probably got that to you, but that's what we're gonna do. That's what I'm trying to do is get back in the studio, and that's why I encourage all my friends on TikTok and anybody that listens, instead of just streaming it, download it. Because it's 99 cents for one song. If I had 50,000 people download a couple songs, I'd be right up there in that recording studio. But I'm saving for it and write some new material.
And certainly more than a quarter recorder machine, I'll tell you that. So
Yeah, it definitely. I don't think you can fill this thing up enough to record a song. So it's a lot more expensive than people think. It's not. It's very expensive. But if you want a good product, as well as I do, you get what you pay for.
that's exactly it. I have to fill my quarter machine with bubble gum next time, but I'll conceal those rings as well too. That's a really good idea. And also, who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Biggest influence. Yeah, I really have to say my dad, honestly. I mean, he taught me how to play guitar, and I'm not really good at that either, but I can play it. I can play enough to write my songs, and
Hmm.
I mean, because you have musicians and you have singers, and then you have crazy good people like Keith Urban that can do them both like this, like he in his sleep. But he's the one that got me started on this path and made me think that I could possibly, literally my goal was just to be on the radio one day, and I've achieved that. So I've kind of achieved the goal I was after, but now I've got a new goal to just get a little more well known. My dad would be the one I would have to
Hmm.
credit all of it.
And certainly a big one as well too. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
What advice to anybody else out there trying to
Anybody in
do it?
general?
Well, what my advice would be to anybody in general is I'm sitting here right now, and I know I was told a lot of times, because there's a lot of times I wasn't singing good, and everybody told me you'll never ever get a song on the radio. You'll never be on the radio. So why don't you just, you heard the old saying, go get a real job. And I'm like, well, I do have a real job, but I still I'm going to push for that goal. So my advice would be, don't give up on whatever it is that you want to do. It doesn't matter what it is, and who cares if you want to be on a donut shop. That's what you need to try to do, and don't let nobody stop you or get in your way. You can do it. I've been up and down in this life. I mean, really up and down. I've been on the streets. I've been up, and I've lived in a nice place 2 or 3 times. I've been down again, and you just can't have no in your heart. You got to have, I'm going to keep going. So
Hmm.
whatever somebody wants, I think everybody deserves to have it if they want it. But you
Hmm.
have to be willing to work for it.
Right.
But
And that's a
that'd be
very
my advice.
right. That's a very good point indeed. Something to keep in mind. Once again, with the multi-talented singer songwriter from now living in Kodak, Tennessee, Lee Browning here on the Mike Wagner Show. Lee, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Live have you back. Once again, what's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or check out your music?
Yeah, Facebook, Lee Browning Music, Instagram. I'm on there. I don't even know my call. I think it's Lee_Browning. And of course TikTok. I'm on TikTok, and that's Lee 1967. People can go on there and see some of my little short videos and stuff like that. So I'm on a lot of the social media and stuff like that. So
Okay. We'll certainly check those out. Once again, Lee, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Looking forward to having you again soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Live have you back. Wish you all best. And Lee, you definitely have a great future ahead of you.
appreciate it.